People read Genesis 3 as the first sin story, and it's true, but it's a very shallow reading. It's not very deep because Genesis 3 is also the first covenant lawsuit. And the Adam, the covenant man, not general man, he's the first covenant defendant. And whenever you understand that, it changes everything because once you see Genesis 3 that way, you can stop reading it like just some moral fable about disobedience and start reading it like a prototype legal case that later covenant prosecutions keep repeating. So let's look at the structure. You have a command is given, and that matters first because lawsuits don't begin with punishment, they begin with assignment and command. The Adam, Ha-Adam, wasn't just wandering around without instruction. He was placed in covenant space. He was given a specific post and told exactly what boundary could and couldn't be crossed. Then comes the breach. The command is violated. The line that he was told not to cross is crossed. The covenant condition is broken. And that's not just a mistake, it's a breach. Then comes the investigation. Yahuwah enters the scene and begins asking questions. Not because he doesn't already know, but because the courtroom is opening. The questions are part of the exposure. Who told you this? Have you eaten? What have you done? That's a legal sequence. Then comes the verdict. The serpent's judged, the woman's judged, and Ha-Adam is judged. So notice how the verdict matches the covenant space. The punishment isn't just random, it's spatial. The ground is affected, labor is affected, access is affected. The defendant is expelled from the very space where the command had been given. And once you see that, you understand that that's lawsuit logic. Then comes exile. Ha-Adam, the Adam, the covenant man, he's driven eastward from Eden. Cherubim guard the way back. Access is cut off. The covenant defendant is removed from the covenant space. And that's the first exile in Scripture. But the story doesn't just end there, because even here at the first lawsuit, a restoration path is already embedded in the judgment. The covenant line continues. The seed theme continues on. The guarded way isn't just erased, it's blocked. It's only blocked. The arc is already pointing forward. It's pointing toward restoration. And that's why this matters so much, because Genesis 3 isn't just the story of one man failing, it's the first legal template. You have a command, you have a breach, then you have an investigation, then you have the verdict, then you have exile, and finally you have the restoration path. And once you see that, the prophets open up in a whole new way. Isaiah isn't just making up a new structure. Jeremiah isn't inventing covenant prosecution. Ezekiel isn't introducing a new form of judgment. And Hosea is not just doing something different. They're all rerunning the same case, just at a larger scale. Israel itself becomes Ha-Adam at a national scale. The land becomes Eden at a national scale. Exile becomes Genesis 3 at a national scale. And prophetic restoration becomes the reversal path at a national scale. And that means that Genesis 3 isn't just first chronologically, it's first structurally. Ha-Adam is the prototype covenant defendant. His case sets the precedent, and every later lawsuit cites his pattern, whether people realize it or not. And that's why the text matters just so much beyond the garden, because when you understand Ha-Adam, or the covenant man, the Adam, in this way, you understand something so much bigger. You understand that Yahuwah doesn't just judge arbitrarily, he judges covenantally. That the lawsuit begins where the assignment was given. Then the breach is named. The defendant is exposed. The verdict is rendered. The exile fits the violated space, and the restoration ark remains alive. And that's Genesis 3. Not just the first fall, but the first covenant prosecution. And Ha-Adam is the first defendant whose case explains every later one.